Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went there? That moment of confusion, INST just simple forgetfulness. It has a glitch in the way your brain processes reality. And believe it or not, your brain has these glitches all the time. Your mind lies to you constantly. Not because it wants to trick you, but because it's trying to keep your experience of the world smooth and functional. Instead of recording reality as it is, your brain edits it, cutting, rearranging, and even adding details to make everything feel seamless. You might think your brain works like a camera, accurately capturing and storing every moment of your life. But in reality, it works more like a film editor. It chooses what to keep, what to cut, and what to fabricate for a better storyline. Take the Mandela Effect, for example. Many people clearly remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s, even though he actually passed away in 2013. Some people even recall watching televised news coverage of his funeral. That's a textbook false memory. What's fascinating is how many people share the same incorrect memory. This phenomenon isn't isolated. It's surprisingly widespread and eerily consistent across individuals and cultures. And it doesn't stop there. A lot of people remember the Berenstain Bears from their childhood, but the actual spelling is Berenstain Bears. That one tiny change sends people spiraling into confusion. Another example, the Monopoly Man. Many of us are convinced he wears a monocle, but he doesn't. The image never existed, yet our minds inserted the detail anyway. These kinds of memory glitches prove that our brains don't simply record information, they build narratives. And when parts of the story are missing, your brain fills them in without asking you. It's like autocomplete for your memories. You don't notice it happening, but your mind silently fills in gaps to create a version of the world that feels complete, even if it isn't accurate. Now, let's look at another glitch: change blindness. This happens when people fail to notice significant changes in their environment, even when those changes happen right in front of them. In one study, a person in a conversation is switched out with another during a brief distraction. Most participants don't notice the swap, even when the new person looks entirely different. You'd think your brain would catch something as obvious as a completely different person. But your brain isn't checking every detail. It's assuming consistency, unless something screams otherwise. Why does this happen? Because your brain constantly guesses what's around you based on what it's seen before. It prefers to assume that nothing has changed rather than waste energy verifying everything. Efficiency matters more than accuracy. That's how the brain has evolved, to take shortcuts when it can, even if it means getting things wrong once in a while. Let's talk about the Stroop Effect next. It's a famous example of cognitive interference. If you see the word blue written in red ink and are told to name the ink color, you'll likely hesitate. Why? Because your brain automatically reads the word before you can focus on the color. It's a conflict between automatic and controlled processing. Even though you want to say red, your brain overrides your intention and tries to say blue. This clash shows just how little conscious control we have over automatic responses. It's not just about speed, it's about control. The Stroop Effect reveals how our brains can betray us, even in simple tasks, by choosing speed over deliberate accuracy. Now consider confabulation. This is when your brain fills memory gaps with false information, often without your knowledge. It's more common in people with brain injuries, but it happens to everyone on a smaller scale. You might remember an event from childhood with great confidence, but over time, the details have changed, maybe subtly, maybe drastically. People, places, and conversations morph with each retelling. That's because your brain wants your memory to make sense. So it smooths over the missing parts with guesswork and hands you the finished product as truth. It's not lying, it's storytelling, and your brain is an expert at it. Now let's examine confirmation bias, one of the most powerful and dangerous brain glitches. Once you believe something, your brain seeks out evidence to support it, and ignores anything that contradicts it. You might think you're being objective, but your mind is already filtering what you see and hear. It reinforces your beliefs, regardless of whether they're right or wrong. This bias creates echo chambers, mental environments, where only your opinions echo back at you. And over time, those beliefs feel more and more like absolute truth. Let's explore misattribution next. That's when your brain remembers information, but forgets its source. You might think you read a fact in a scientific article, but really you heard it in a dream or made it up. These false memories feel just as strong as real ones. That is because your brain stores the emotional feel of a memory better than its origin. You trust the content of the memory, even if the context is completely wrong. That's another way your brain shapes your version of reality. Visual illusions offer even more proof. Two lines of equal length can appear drastically different based on how they're framed. Colors look like they change depending on surrounding light, even when they don't. Your eyes aren't deceiving you, your brain is. It interprets images in a way that's fast and useful, not necessarily accurate. Survival trumps precision. What about your sense of time? It's surprisingly unreliable. In moments of fear or danger, time seems to slow down. During boring lectures, it drags. But when you look back, those moments compress or expand based on how you felt. Emotion plays a huge role in how you perceive time. Your brain isn't measuring seconds, it's measuring significance. Another major bias is anchoring. If you hear a number say, $1,000, your next guess about something unrelated, like the price of an item, will be influenced by that first number, even though they're not connected at all. Your brain grabs onto that initial input and uses it as a reference point. It's a mental shortcut that often leads you in the wrong direction. Let's move on to priming. This is when exposure to one stimulus unconsciously influences your reaction to another. For example, if you see the word yellow, you're faster to recognize banana than wrench. Your brain is constantly forming associations. It uses these invisible threads to speed up thinking, but they can also distort your judgment. Split brain syndrome is one of the strangest brain phenomena ever documented. In rare cases, patients have their brain hemispheres surgically separated to treat epilepsy. The result? Two minds in one body. One hand buttons a shirt while the other unbuttons it. One side of the brain believes in God, while the other doesn't. These cases show that your sense of self is not unified. It's a team effort. That leads us to déjà vu, that weird feeling you've been somewhere or done something before. In reality, it's a brain hiccup where the present is mistakenly labeled as a memory. It's not spiritual, it's neurological. Your brain tags an experience the wrong way, and suddenly it feels familiar, even though it's new. All of these brain glitches, big and small, aren't flaws. They're survival tools. Your brain evolved to react quickly, not to be perfectly accurate. It cuts corners to keep you alive. And in most cases, it works incredibly well. But sometimes it leads to illusions, misbeliefs, and strange experiences. Your brain doesn't care about the truth. It cares about what works. And that's why so much of your reality is a clever construction, not an objective fact. So what can you do with this information? You can start by questioning your thoughts. Be aware that even your strongest instincts might be built on shaky ground. Train yourself to recognize these biases. Practice stepping outside your assumptions. It won't make the glitches disappear, but it'll help you spot them when they happen. Remember, feeling confident doesn't mean you're right. Your brain is built to make you feel certain, even when you're completely wrong. That's not a failure. It's a feature. And it's what makes being human so fascinating. Because the biggest illusion of all ... isn't in what you see. It's in what you believe. Your brain is a storyteller. And sometimes the story isn't true. But knowing that, that's the first step to thinking more clearly. Stay curious. because even the smartest mind lies to itself sometimes.